Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Thursday evening. I hope you all are doing really well. Rafa Benitez has had his pre-game press conference this afternoon ahead of Everton's Premier League fixture against Brentford on Sunday afternoon away from home. Of course, another really difficult game, but a game that I think the majority of Evertonians are looking at and thinking we've simply got to go and get something out of this game. Hopefully we can go and get 3 points, but with our fixtures coming up, obviously we've got the Merseyside derby next Wednesday. We've just had a really difficult fixture against Manchester City. We have to look at this game and feel like we can come away with something. We do. The players have got to turn up. They've got to battle. They've got to fight, and it'll be difficult. Of course, it will be because Brentford are a new side in the Premier League. They've got that little bit of fearlessness about them, and this Brentford team will probably be looking at Everton thinking this is a prime time to take 3 points off a side that some people will see as challenging for Europe. I personally don't see Everton challenging for Europe this season, but Brentford will look at this as a really good opportunity to take points off a side that certainly will will give them some attention. Everton haven't won a game in 2 months. It's actually been 2 months today since our last win, which is just absolutely terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. I've seen some people say, sort of shrug off the idea of relegation or the relegation battle this season. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Everton will go down because I think there's at least three teams that are in a worse position than we are currently. And I think that will be a consistent throughout the course of the next few months. But to shrug off the idea that we could potentially be fighting relegation come January, February, I think is a little bit naive in my opinion, because you look at the fixtures we've got coming up over the Christmas period. You look at the injuries that we're constantly having to the squad. We're going to talk about those in today's video, and I sort of just think, where are we picking up a consistent run of points? Yes, we might win the odd game. Yes, we might get the odd points here and there, but where's our next consistent good run of form going to come in? And obviously this is football, anything can happen and these things can change in an instant. We could go and get a win on Sunday against Brentford and it could give the squad an edge of confidence and a new lease of life. We could go and beat Liverpool next week in the Merseyside derby and then have 4, 5, 6 games where we're winning games week in, week out, and we're surprising people. It's happened before. We've come into December before and dreaded it. I remember last season, most recently last season, of course, we had a really torrid time in October, November. We were brilliant in September, started the season really well, like we were this year, and it fell off sort of mid-October. November was dreadful, a little bit like it's been this year, but then we got into December, and I remember we were playing Chelsea, Arsenal, Leicester, and we were sort of thinking, where do we get 3 points from here? Where are we going to pick up our next 3 points? We had Sheffield United on Boxing Day away from home, and we beat Arsenal, Chelsea and Leicester within the space of a week, not in that order, but within the space of a week, and all of a sudden that momentum sort of picked up again, and the squad confidence sort of started to grow again, and all of a sudden we went on a little bit of a run from that point on. So as I said, I'm not sitting here saying, we're not going to win another game for another 2-3 months or whatever, but it is going to be increasingly difficult. This is going to be a bit of a press conference reaction, really. I used to do these. I think I used to do them for every press conference when Marco Silva was at the football club, and then schedules and work and stuff like that got in the way, and it stopped me being able to do them. And usually, obviously, Rafa Benitez has his press conferences on a Friday, so typically we do a sort of mini press conference reaction during the game preview. Now, I was humming and hawing between doing the game preview today or tomorrow, and I thought, no, do you know what? We'll continue doing it on a Friday. The game's on a Sunday, but we'll sit down and we'll do a little bit of a press conference reaction, talk about what Rafa Benitez spoke about, give a little bit of an injury update on a number of players that he has mentioned today, and just have a little overall chat about what got said and how we're feeling ahead of Sunday's games. If you are watching in the live comments, it would mean an absolutely massive amount to me if you could leave a comment and get involved, and we'll try and get involved with as many of them as we possibly can. If you watch as a YouTube video, drop your comments down below and we'll get involved with those as well. I did promise yesterday that we will be doing a video on the young players and their development from the under-23s, from the academy effectively into the first team, what that sort of pathway looks like, or probably doesn't look like at the moment at Everton Football Club. Talking about Ellis Simms' new contract, the news that was put out there yesterday by The Athletic that Lewis Dobbin is still yet to sign his new deal, and he's free to talk to certain other clubs in January ahead of a potential move next summer because his contract is up. But we are going to do that video tomorrow. The live game preview to the Brentford game will be out tomorrow, but we're also going to do that video talking about the the pathway for younger players into the first team, because I think Rafa Benitez has made a specific comment today in his press conference that sort of feeds in to that video regarding Ellis Simms, and a comment regarding young players that doesn't really mention Lewis Dobbin, but I can't help but feel like it's sort of aimed towards Lewis Dobbin. So anyway, look, let's get straight into it. Without further ado, there's no point in sitting here and humming and hawing and rambling on for no apparent reason. Let's get straight in to Rafa Benitez's press conference. So as I said, he had it earlier on this afternoon, 2:30, which is unusual for Everton. Typically the press conferences are at 1:15, 1:30 every Friday. I'm not really too sure why it was done on a Thursday afternoon. I can only assume that something's going on at Finch Farm tomorrow. Probably I don't know, they'll probably have some sort of UFC fight or some sort of boxing bout. They'll probably do, rounds of sparring tomorrow, because that's typically what they do before the game, don't they? They say, right, come into Finch Farm, a couple of days before the game. You're all fit, yeah, Sam? Yerry Mina, you sweet, yeah, Sam? Dom, getting there is right, come in, couple of days before the game, and we're going to do rounds of sparring between you all, 10 rounds, 3-minute rounds, and, here you go off, and that ends up being why we get to game day, and we've got nobody bloody fit. But anyway, let's get into the press conference. So Rafa Benitez started this one by talking about Demarai Gray. Obviously, there was a couple of rumours over the last week or so regarding Demarai Gray's injury. He did go off against Manchester City last week, and I'm sure majority of Evertonians felt like I did, and that was pretty much sort of a massive gulp in our mouth, and then a realisation that we could be without another key player for a sustained period of time. The Liverpool Echo did report yesterday that Everton believe that the injury isn't as bad as what was first feared. Now, a timescale has never been mentioned for Demarai Gray's injury. I know obviously it's only been a couple of days since he picked up the injury, but I'm seeing a lot of sort of tweets and a lot of articles saying that, it mightn't be as bad as first believed and he might be back quicker than what people expected. Well, it's a bit of a difficult one to digest that, because we don't know what was first believed, if that makes sense. It's not like the club have come out and said, or somebody within, the media have come out and said, yeah, Everton, at one stage, Everton believed it to have been, an injury that's going to keep him out for 4 to 6 weeks, but now it's not as bad as that. Or, somebody's come out and said, at one point, somebody within the club thought, or one of the doctors thought that he'd be out for, 1 or 2 weeks, but it's not as bad as that. We haven't had that time scale, so it's not really, it's a bit vague to say, it's not as bad as first expected, because we don't know how. We don't know what was first expected. But anyway, Rafa Benitez was asked a question about Demarai Gray's injury. He said he was doing a light training session today. We will see if he can be available. It was less than we were expecting. So absolutely fantastic news regarding Demarai Gray there. Rafa Benitez saying he's back in training already, so it wasn't anything too serious, and he will be tested, or he will be fitness tested ahead of Sunday's game. Now, this leaves us with the assumption. Now, I'll be careful making assumptions, because as my dad always says to me, an assumption makes an arse out of you and me. Little bit of wordplay for you there. But that leaves me with the assumption that if Demarai Gray isn't fit for this game on Sunday, or he isn't risked for this game on Sunday per se, and that sounds a bit mad, because it's not like we're playing Leyton Orient in the Cup, and no disrespect to Leyton Orient, we've got a really difficult game against the side that are going to believe they can beat us and are going to turn up with all of the confidence to do that. But let's say, for example, Demarai Gray isn't deemed fit enough for Sunday's game. I would like to hope that, given the manager has said that, he's been in training already, and that, we will have a fitness test ahead of Sunday, I would like to hope that even if he isn't fit for Sunday, he will be back for the Merseyside derby. Obviously, on the basis that he doesn't pick up a further injury, or, as I said, he manages to get out of that sparring session that they seem to be doing every week. But listen, it's good, it's positive, it's a positive update, isn't it? At the end of the day, we've had a lot of bad injury news over the last couple of weeks and months, and obviously, with Abdoulaye Doucouré out, Dominic Calvert-Lewin out, Yerry Mina out, when Demarai Gray went down the other day. I think there was a massive sort of gulp from the majority of Evertonians and a big fear that he'd be out for a sustained period of time. So it's good news that he's training again. He's back in training already, and it seems like he could even be available for Sunday's game, which is fantastic. On other injury updates, the manager did say Yeri is doing well but still not ready. Dominic as well. We are bringing back some players. We are getting better in this department. Again, no surprises there. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Yerry Mina still unavailable. I'm not going to lie, I'm not confident that either of them will be available for the Merseyside derby either, to be perfectly honest with you. He did mention that we are bringing back some players. We're going to talk about one of those in just a second, Abdoulaye Doucouré, who could potentially return to action on Sunday. He didn't really mention specifically anybody else. He talked about Fabien Delph and Jean-Philippe Gbamin, which we'll go on and mention, but he didn't really mention Tom Davis. He didn't really mention Andre Gomez either. So, all as we know from that comment is that Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Yerry Mina are still out injured, which is no surprise. As I said, Rafa Benitez went on to say, we are bringing back some players. The problem is some of the key players we have missing already. It seems that they are more important because we are not winning. Well, they are more important, effectively. I don't know whether he's trying to say that they're not more important, but it seems like they are, or he's basically saying, listen, these players that are out injured are vital to Everton Football Club. And look, to be honest, if Rafa Benitez was saying that, I don't think anybody could disagree with that. I really don't think anybody could disagree with that. I don't think you'll find one Evertonian that'll sit there and tell you Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Yerry Mina and Abdoulaye Doucouré aren't that level of importance to this football club, that they, if they're in or out the team, that determines what results we're likely to pick up. That's just the truth. If we've got those three in the squad, we're much more likely going to win a game of football than we will if they're not in the squad. That's just the flat out truth. As I said, he went on to talk about Everton's form. We mentioned injuries again. Rafa Benitez said we're missing players through injuries, and maybe it was affecting us maybe too much. It's a question of time that you win the first game and the confidence comes back. So again, talking a little bit about that, possibility of getting that win on the board and then, growing in confidence from that. It would have been nice had we have got that win against Tottenham, to be honest with you, and that game was very much there for the taking, and we very much should have won that game. Because that would have given, as I said, the side, a little bit more confidence, and I think we'd have seen a better performance against Manchester City. I'm not necessarily saying I think we'd have gone out and beaten Manchester City on Sunday, but I think we'd have certainly seen a much better, much more confident performance had we have beaten Tottenham the week before. A performance that we could have almost sit here and said, okay, listen, we played well there. We didn't win the game, but we played well. Write that off onto Brentford now, and I think then that would have given us even bigger of a boost for the game against Brentford. The fact that we drew that game against Tottenham left us in that sort of purgatory stage where it was like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great. We then went to Man City and obviously, normal business, resumed really, didn't it? Where players were just accepting defeat before the ball had even been kicked. And, that type of mentality and that type of attitude isn't welcome in this football club. We said it yesterday during the review to the Manchester City game. If there's any Everton player out there, I don't care if you're Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jordan Pickford, Richarlison, Alex Iwobi, Solomon Rondon, I don't care who you are. If your mentality is that performance on Sunday was acceptable and that result was acceptable, then walk out the door, because you're not welcome at this football club. It wasn't acceptable. It wasn't good enough. I don't think you'll find any Evertonian that's sitting here demanding that you go to the Etihad and absolutely play Manchester City off the park, but we all demand that you go and give it 100%. You go and show a bit more. You go and make it difficult for them. If you're not going to win, then you make it really tough for them, and we didn't. We rolled over and got our bellies tickled again. But as I said, interesting for Rafa Benitez to mention that getting that first win on the on the board again, and then hopefully that giving the team a boost in confidence, which makes sense. It shouldn't take a win though. It shouldn't take these players 3 points for them to actually think, you know what, we're gonna play at the capability that we're gonna play at the level that we're capable of now. They should just go, we're not playing we're not playing well at the moment, so let's get our heads up and let's improve. You know, they've had an international break to sit down and reflect and look back on what's going wrong. That should have been the time where they picked themselves up and went again. It shouldn't take a win, but I get where the manager's coming from is often you get that one win and it gives you the confidence boost. And as I said, for me, this win has got to be on Sunday. It'll be difficult, it'll be tough, the injuries will obviously kill us, but we've got to go out and get this win on Sunday. It's simple as that, in my opinion. Rafa Benitez then went on to talk about Brentford. He says, we are close in the table, but just winning one game. We could really be close to the top 6. That's the situation in the table now. Hopefully this game will change the situation for us. And he, you know what? Rafa Benitez is right there. Points-wise and positional-wise, we're not that far away from top 6, top 7, top 5, whatever you want to say. It's just performance-wise and injuries and, you know, what we're watching and what we're seeing week in, week out. And our injury luck will only get worse as the season goes on, let's be honest. You know, it's not going to get any better. It never does. It's you know, all of those combined things that make you sort of look and think we could be in trouble come January, February time if we don't pick ourselves up. But, you know, the manager's right. If we get one win on the table and we get a little bit of confidence and we do what we done last year, i.e., you know, in those games that we probably were looking at in November thinking we're going to get bounced here, we turn up and actually win, then, you know, we might be in a completely different situation come Christmas. But from what I've seen over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, with the exception of the Tottenham game, which again wasn't brilliant, we just worked a bit harder, I haven't seen a performance that gives me the confidence to believe that we'll go out and beat Liverpool, or we'll go out and take points off Chelsea or Arsenal, you know, or even Brentford at the weekend. So it's down to the players to show that side of their game and not show the side that we've seen recently. Because if we play on Wednesday, you know, we'll talk about Sunday in a moment, obviously, because, you know, take every game as it comes. But if we play like we've been playing recently on Wednesday, it will be a cricket score, an absolute cricket score. Goodison will be toxic as anything. Them lot will be having a whale of a time, and it will be embarrassing. It will be absolutely embarrassing, and I think there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different aspects that go into Wednesday's game that can change that and turn what could be a massive negative into a positive. But first and foremost, it's down to the players turning up and wanting to perform and wanting to battle and wanting to fight and wanting to work hard for the shirt. The manager then did go on and mention Brentford once again. He said, I think they're doing really well. Now it's more difficult little by little. Everybody knows you better, but in terms of these kind of teams, they have an advantage because they've been working the same for a while. He was asked a direct question about, I keep saying he, that's rude. Rafa Benitez was asked a direct question about Ivan Toney. He went on to say, I didn't meet Ivan Toney anytime. I didn't coach him any day because he was on loan and they sold him. So I had no contact with Ivan Toney and I never had any contact with him. I think he's referring to his days at Newcastle there. Again, a journalist has probably just woken up this morning and thought, shit, I need a question to ask Rafa Benitez today. Let me ask him about Ivan Toney. So not getting much out of that comment, really, are we? The manager then went on to talk about Richarlison and who could potentially replace Richarlison. And I think this is a quote that will catch a lot of people's attentions and will certainly probably wind a lot of Evertonians up. If you're watching and you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you could hit that thumbs up button, it would mean a great deal to me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we will be back tomorrow. We're not going just yet, but we will be live tomorrow with the game preview to the Brentford game, and we'll also have a video out tomorrow talking about the pathway for young players coming from the academy into the first team and the issues that I have with that. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on those. If you're watching a YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below and we'll get involved with as many of them as we can. So as I said, the manager then went on to talk about Richarlison, who obviously we know is suspended for Sunday's game, picked up a 5th yellow card in the game against Manchester City, meaning he will miss Sunday, and specifically who will replace Richarlison or who can replace Richarlison up front on Sunday. And Rafa Benitez went on to say, we have 2 experienced players, Tosun and Rondon, available, and we have a young player in Sims. Normally for these games, it's better for experienced players. So no mention of Lewis Dobbin there. Now maybe there's no mention of Lewis Dobbin because the manager sees him as more of a wide player, and maybe more of a replacement to, say, a Demarai Gray. And maybe he sees Lewis Dobbin as in that category rather than a striker. Did mention Ellis Sims, of course, but let's be honest, that quote there effectively says it's going to be Solomon Rondon playing up front. He couldn't have said it any more broad than that, really, could he? I mean, okay, he's mentioned Ellis Sims, but he's made a specific point of saying that, Ellis is inexperienced, and sometimes these types of games are sort of more suited to the experienced player. Now, as I said, I don't want to touch on this too much because we are going to touch on this, this comment and Ellis Sims and his new contract and his future at the football club when we talk about that pathway for young players in tomorrow's video. However, listen, if Solomon Rondon was evidently making an impact when he was on the pitch in an Everton shirt, I would say that's understandable. Okay, we might want to see Ellis Sims, we might want Ellis Sims to be given a go, but Solomon Rondon's coming on, he's making a nuisance of himself, he's scoring goals, he's working hard, he's battling, he's going to start. Or if Cenk Tosun was doing the same as I've just mentioned with Solomon Rondon, I'd be saying, well, okay, maybe this game is more suited to the experienced player, but they're not, are they? Let's be honest. Cenk Tosun hasn't put a half-decent performance in an Everton shirt for years, and Solomon Rondon ultimately so far has been a massive, massive disappointment since signing for Everton. He has, there's no getting away from that. He's been a massive, massive disappointment. So whilst I understand the argument that some people will have regarding Ellis Sims not being experienced enough, or maybe not being good enough, or this, that and the other, as I said, it's not like the options are two really, really good, strikers who can score goals in the Premier League and one young lad who mightn't be good enough. You've got two poor strikers who aren't, likely not going to do anything, and you've got a young lad who, okay, mightn't be ready, or might be out of his depth, or mightn't be good enough. But as I said yesterday, one thing you'll get from Ellis Sims, one thing you'll get from Lewis Dobbin is you'll get 100%. Now, they mightn't be ready, they mightn't be good enough, but they will give 100% and 10%. They'll work hard, they'll battle, they'll put themselves about, they'll make a use of themselves. You won't get that with Solomon Rondon and Cenk Tosun, I don't think, personally. And they're not good enough either. So, again, as I said, it's a conversation for a different video. It's a conversation for a different discussion. However, from that comment, judging by that comment from the manager, it looks like we are more than likely going to see Solomon Rondon or Cenk Tosun leading the line on Sunday. And my assumption would be it will be Solomon Rondon over Cenk Tosun. Once again, I'll read that out just in case anybody has joined us late. If you're watching and you're enjoying, by the way, hit that thumbs up button. Rafa Benitez was talking about who he thinks can replace Richarlison, obviously with Richarlison being suspended, and he said we have two experienced players, Tosun and Rondon, available, and we have a young player in Sims. Normally for these games it's better for the experienced players. So there you go. We did then go out and further talk about Richarlison and his suspension. He said, I think he knows it's too early to have 5 yellow cards. He has to realise he cannot react sometimes. He has to stay more calm. Sometimes his frustration and reaction is out of control. He needs to be more aware of that. Again, probably a comment that will annoy some Evertonians because, it doesn't paint Richarlison in the greatest of lights, but I don't have too big of an issue with that comment, to be honest with you, from Rafa Benitez. I think he's probably right. To have 5 yellow cards come, late November isn't great, especially considering, Richarlison will understand that, we're without Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He will understand, even if he won't admit it, he will understand that, the other striking options aren't good enough for this football club, and he will understand this importance. So he should, in my opinion, I agree, should be a little bit more mature when flying into challenges, or when leaving his foot in, or when reacting in a certain way. Maybe should have that double think of, actually, the team needs me here, so maybe I won't do that. But again, I don't think that's as serious of an incident as maybe it may seem. Rafa Benitez did go on and talk about Everton's recent run and how poor the recent run has been. He said, I think we have been quite close in some of these games that we lost or drew. Obviously, we want to win and are really disappointed. I would say the game against Tottenham was a reaction of the team to the way we have been playing in the past. I'm not really sure what game he's referring to by saying, by saying that we've been close. Okay, the Tottenham game, yes, there was a reaction, fair enough. But we weren't close in the Watford game. We weren't close in the game against Wolves. We were absolutely battered in the first half, and in the second half, yes, we got a goal back, but we then didn't do anything else. We weren't close against Manchester City, so I'm a bit confused about that one, but, oh well, there you go. Rafa Benitez then went on to talk about the January transfer window. He said the key for injuries is not the number, but it's the key players. We are bringing back players from injuries. We've had key players injured that has affected results. That is the point for us. And again, the manager's right there. It's not necessarily about the number of injuries that we have to the squad. It's the fact that the players that are injured are the best players in this squad. As I said before, Abdoulaye Doucoure, Yerry Mina, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Demarai Gray now. Jordan Pickford's been injured at times this season. Seamus Coleman as well. Richarlison's had spells out injured. So, again, he's absolutely right. It's not necessarily the number of injuries in terms of how it looks on a spreadsheet. It's the players that are picking up injuries. The number of injuries is shocking as well. Because even, for a team like Everton, and again, considering we've spent so much money, another conversation for another video, our squad is absolutely wafer thin. So even when you see squad players or players that might necessarily be good enough for the first team, even when those players are getting injured, it's still not great, because we still need those players to form part of a squad. Those players still have a role in this team, whether they should or they shouldn't, they still do, because of the lack of squad depth that we have. But again, understandable where the manager is coming from. We will get into the live comments in a moment, by the way, so if you are watching, please do get your comments in live, and we will be getting involved with as many of them as we can. If you're new, as I said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Only takes a second. Leave a like as well if you're enjoying. 31 people watching, 14 likes. If you could get those likes up, that would be absolutely fantastic. The best and biggest bit of news to come out of this press conference was that Rafa Benitez was asked about Abdoulaye Doucoure and an update on his situation, and the manager said that the one that was expected was Doucoure. He has been training today, so it's one player that may be available. He also said we have to be sure he is fine, everything is healed, and the player is confident. He said because it is a metatarsal issue, if he's fine, then he's fine. We have to make sure he goes to the game if everything is healed and the player is confident. It's always a risk coming back from injury, but not a massive risk. But the best and sort of key element in that statement is that he's been training today, so it's one player that may be available. The potential of Abdoulaye Doucoure returning on Sunday makes me happy beyond belief. I can't even explain to you how relieved I was to hear that news. Now, App Video says, Toffee TV said that Alan has an injury now. Now, it was rumoured over social media over the last 24, 48 hours or so that Alan had picked up an injury. However, strangely enough, Rafa Benitez wasn't asked about that today. Nobody really mentioned it. None of the journalists mentioned it. Now, I don't know whether that was because that news is being embargoed for a different time, or whether it's just because it's utter nonsense and therefore there was nothing to say. I don't know, but it's been rumoured that there's been an injury to Alan over social media. But again, those rumours started sort of last night, yesterday evening. And I would have thought if they were true, and I'm not saying they're not true, by the way, but I would have thought if they were true, then somebody in the media would have put that question to Rafa Benitez, or he would have mentioned, when he said, we're getting better with injuries, he would have mentioned, but we've got Alan out injured as well. So, a little bit of a strange one, that. But, as I said, the big news is that Abdoulaye Doucoure could potentially return for Sunday's game against Brentford. How refreshing is that to hear? Unbelievable news. As the manager says there, the player's got to be confident, the player's got to be ready. There's a massive question mark as to whether or not Rafa Benitez should start Abdoulaye Doucoure on Sunday, or just give him an extra couple of days rest, obviously in preparation for the Merseyside derby next Wednesday. As I said before, it's not like we're playing Leyton Orient in the FA Cup. We've got a really difficult game against a really tough side on Sunday, and this is a game we've got to go out and win. This could be that game that Rafa Benitez is referring to, that one win that kickstarts our season again, that gets the motivation back into the squad, that gets the confidence back in there. This could be it. So again, it's a decision for Rafa Benitez to make. Obviously, Abdoulaye Doucouré's got to go through another couple of days worth of training, and I assume fitness tests and stuff like that to determine whether or not he's available. But it's a massive positive, the mere fact that he could be available for Sunday's game. So there you go. Leave a like for that. If you're watching and you're thinking, why should I like this video? Leave a like for the potential that Abdoulaye Doucouré could be back in that starting 11 on Sunday, because I can't express to you the importance of Abdoulaye Doucouré and how happy I will be if I see that team sheet at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon and his name is in it. I really, really will. So leave a like for Abdoulaye Doucouré's potential return. Let's hope that he does return on Sunday, and if he does, he's absolutely fully 100% fit and ready to go. Rafa Benitez further spoke about the injuries in the squad. He said, we are doing much better with injuries now compared to the past. Delph is available and training every day. Gbamin was injured for 2 years, but he is now available and training. Again, which is good, I suppose. He did go on to talk about Gbamin, which we'll mention in a moment. Rafa Benitez then was asked about the young players, specifically Anthony Gordon, and his progress. He said it seems to be young enough is to be good enough. It seems to be young enough is to be good enough. Gordon is a young player. People were asking for him to play. When they are good enough and mentally ready, they can play. Sometimes they have the potential, but not the experience and mentality. Young players doesn't mean good players. They're young players. Some players need more time than others. Now, as I said before, this is what I was referring to a little bit earlier on in the live stream. Obviously, there's absolutely no mention of Lewis Dobbin in that sentence. There's absolutely no mention of Ellis Sims in that sentence. But I can't help, and again, as I said, might be a little bit of an assumption on my part, but I can't help but feel like those words are maybe sort of aimed at a Lewis Dobbin or an Ellis Sims, or, you know, maybe a Tyler Onyango or one of the other younger players within the squad that people are sort of, again, almost knocking on the door for those players to get opportunities. Very strong statement from the manager regarding the young players there. You know, young enough, you know, does not necessarily mean good enough, or young player doesn't mean good player. You know, okay, they might be doing well, but it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to be mature enough, or, you know, ready to, or have that mentality that's ready to step in to the Premier League. Now, obviously, the counter argument to that is, well, has Alex Iwobi got the mentality to play for Everton? Has Solomon Rondon got the mentality to play for Everton? And I get all of those arguments, but as I said, quite a strict stance there from Rafa Benitez regarding young players. It doesn't look like he's going to be moved. It doesn't look like his decisions are going to be swayed by, you know, Evertonians sort of calling for these young players to be put in the squad. It seems like that unless he feels these players are ready, they're not going to be in there. And to be honest, as frustrating as that may be, that's probably the right decision. You know, you don't want a manager making a managerial decision in the Premier League because, you know, fans have told them to, effectively, because that says that he's not good enough at the job, and you may as well give the managerial job to fans because they're effectively making the decisions. You know, he's right. You know, again, I understand the calls for Lewis Dobbin. He's ripping it up in the under-23s, and for me, I think I don't see what Solomon Rondon offers that Lewis Dobbin can't offer. But obviously, Rafa Benitez does see that. He sees something that Solomon Rondon offers that Lewis Dobbin maybe can't at the moment, and maybe it's that physicality, maybe it's that experience, I don't know, but a very strong stance from the manager on the younger players there. He mentioned Anthony Gordon, but it didn't really make sense for him to mention Anthony Gordon because Anthony Gordon is, you know, again, playing week in, week out in the Premier League, and for me has shown that he's more than good enough and mature enough to be playing in Premier League football now. I think it was more aimed at maybe other players, and maybe he's just name dropped Anthony Gordon because Anthony Gordon's made that step up. But again, really, really interesting comments there from the manager, and certainly comments that we will be discussing on our video about that pathway for young players tomorrow. And then finally, the manager finished off by talking about Jean-Philippe Gbamin, and I've just clicked off of the link where I had that saved, so bear with me 2 seconds. He said, it's complicated after 2 years. To play against Wolves was not easy after we had to make the decision against Spurs. I put Holgate in. We have to be honest, it didn't work. Sometimes it's like that. So again, the manager referring there to the decision to bring Mason Holgate on against Tottenham Hotspur in the centre of midfield. Obviously, subsequently went and got sent off. And why he didn't bring on Jean-Philippe Gbamin. Look, for me, I said it, a couple of weeks ago after the Wolves game. I thought Jean-Philippe Gbamin was dreadful, to be honest with you. Some people thought he wasn't too bad. I thought he was awful. I really, really do. And I'm not sitting here blaming him, and I understand that, he hasn't played a game of football for 2 years, or started the game of football for 2 years, and he's been out, and he's had injury after injury, and match fitness, and this, that, and the other. I get all of that. I get all of it, and I'm not sitting here writing him off, and I'm not sitting here saying he is an awful player. But what I'm saying is he was awful against Wolves. For me, there's no hiding that. If you're saying otherwise, you're sugarcoating it. Positional wise, he was all over the place. He won the ball back a couple of times, but that's not good enough. Any player that gets taken off at half time, it's not looking great for you. So I half understand why the manager didn't bring him on against Tottenham, to be honest with you. Don't know whether I'd have put Mason Holgate on either. But as Rafa Benitez says there, it's complicated with Gbamin. It is. But we'll see if he has a role on Sunday against Brentford. So yeah, there you go. That is all from Rafa Benitez. That is all he had to say. Really positive injury update on Abdoulaye Doucouré, of course. Let's hope he is available and back on Sunday. We had an update on Demarai, which was refreshing. No mention of Alan, which I'm sure we'll see on Sunday whether or not he's fit and available. And of course, updates on other players. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Yerry Mina. Spoke about Brentford, of course. Spoke about our bad run of form and needing that one win to get that confidence back in the team. And as I said, for me, that's got to be on Sunday. Anyway, let's get into the live comments before we finish up. See what everybody has got to say. Big thanks to everybody for getting in the live comments. Bright says, did you see my comment section? I didn't, to be honest, mate. Peter says, think we're all in need of EITC services if this carries on. Listen, as I said, it's not looking great fixtures wise, but you never know. Football is a strange game. Eugene says Rafa Benitez hits out at young players' claims and sends blunt Richarlison message. Just mentioned that. Sean says this is a dire 2 months without a win. It is. Sam Allardyce. What's happening, Sam? He says, I've sent Schenk his monthly hairspray. Hope he's received it. Well, if he's playing on Sunday, he'll have it all on, mate. I expect him to turn up with an afro on Sunday if he's playing. He loves the odd spray on hair, doesn't he? David says, Rondon starts. Let's stop dreaming about winning games and get real about the situation. Rafa won't use kids because they're not Rooney. Yeah, and again, listen, there's I suppose there's an element of, when you've got that one-in-a-kind talent, a Wayne Rooney or a Ross Barkley or somebody like that, that is very clearly ready to make that step up, then the club will ensure they do make that step up. But I just don't see the harm in giving an Ellis Sims. I'm not saying start him against Man City or Liverpool, but what's the harm in giving him 20 minutes off the bench when there's nothing up front, when we're not creating anything, when we're not doing anything? What's the harm in giving Lewis Dobbin 25 minutes, half an hour off the bench when when we've got nothing going for us up front? What's the harm in that? Is it because they're not ready? Is it because again the manager doesn't believe their mentality's right? I don't know, but I just don't see the harm in it. Bright says, I don't even know what that means, my mate. Jason says, hi Cam everybody, hi my mate. Stephen says, fingers crossed Doucouré and Gray are fit. Not happy about Mina, needs to ask questions of himself, he's always breaking down. Yeah, there's definitely a discussion to be had there about Yerry Mina because he's so good and for me he's our best centre half when he's playing, but his injury record is worrying. Sean says, with a depleted team with so many injuries, I've never known this many players out. David says, why risk either Gay or Doucouré for this game? Give them a full week to recover, or we're asking for problems later. I get that, and I suppose that's the conundrum that Rafa Benitez has got to have with himself within his head. Maybe Rafa Benitez is thinking, well, if I start them both and we win the game, then that could give us that confidence and that momentum needed to go and get something out of the Merseyside derby on Wednesday. If I don't start them both and we lose, then the confidence is going to be at an all-time low. And, even with Graham Doucouré in for the derby, with everybody else, rock bottom, confidence-wise, can we get something out of that game? So it's certainly It's one of them, isn't it? Martin says, with the red shite at Goodison next Wednesday under the lights, this is turning into the perfect storm. It will be an absolute horror show. Unfortunately, Rafa is being fed the total shit sandwich. Well, let's hope not, mate, but I can't lie. At the moment, I feel the same. Stephen says, however, hopefully we can ship 3 or 4 of the deadwood out in January and get 2 decent players in. Let's hope so. David says, Mina will be leaving in the summer, 18 months left on his contract and no new offer. I feel like the reason he's not had a new offer is because of his injury problems, if I'm being honest with you. APG says, Rafa says that the injuries are getting better. The players he mentioned don't play. Yeah. Interesting. David says, January will be loans in and out. Just give yourself a day off. Bright. Glenn says, Cam, my favourite aquatic animal used to be a dolphin. Now I'm very much delf out. I mean, again, as I said before, if you can't even leave a like for Doucouré being back, you've got to leave a like for that. That's just excellent. David says, win, go 8th, lose, could be 16th, then Liverpool, yeah. Mitchell says, make or break for Benitez in the derby, could walk out a hero or villain, absolutely. Glenn says, let's get to 20 plus likes now. One more away, if we could get there, it would be great. Philip says, most of our pathetic so-called players will totally disintegrate at our old ground. It's happened before, mate, and I wouldn't put it past it happening again. David says, then Arsenal, Palace, Chelsea, Leicester won't be close to the top 6. Bottom 6 on Boxing Day. Well, yeah, like I said, it's worrying, but it can change, but it is worrying at the moment. I get it. Paul says, give me a Tsiraya and a day that annoy the opponent. Interesting. Joe says, hope none of our... I can't be reading out no conspiracies, mate. Peter says, the board don't seem to be interested in the squad, more interested in Bramley-Moore and awards for EITC. No pathway for the youngsters, no plan, no clue. I've had this problem for a while with the board, mate, to be honest with you. I spoke on one of the Everton spaces last night about my issue with the board and this being the issue. Massive thanks, by the way, if you've recently come over to the channel because of the Everton spaces. Yeah, it was a good chat last night, certainly on one of them. One of them was a bit mad, but no, I agree. David says, Ken right out. Fair enough. Mitchell says, Joe, this isn't the place for conspiracy theories. Nice one, Mitch. Philip says, Richie gets kicked all over the place with 0L from ref to Toney Natal. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm not saying that he's wrong for kicking out or he's wrong for having a go at ref. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is maybe knowing the referees in this league and how awful they are, maybe again he could rein it in a little bit for the sake of Everton, really. I love seeing him having a go at referees. I think it's absolutely boss, but we can't keep having him suspended, can we? Richie will be leaving in the summer, says David. Let's hope not. Glenn says, I got to go, Cam, top man. Neither of us are Americans, but always good to be thankful. Thanks for your top work. It is Thanksgiving, by the way. Massive Thanksgiving to all of our American supporters, all of the American toffees over in the US. Hope you have a fantastic day. Happy Thanksgiving to all. But thank you very much, Glenn. Really appreciate that, my mate. Means a massive amount to me. Mitchell says, happy Thanksgiving. Glenn is right. Take care, Glenn. Stay true. It says Bright is right. David says, Rafa saying Doucouré will play if he's happy. Doesn't fill me with confidence that Doucouré is ready. Sims isn't Rooney and Onyango isn't Raul. Interesting. Philip says, if we can't produce 1 or 2 decent lads every year, what's the point in wasting money in the academy? Well, I suppose, you know, again, it's that hope that every now and then, and it is every now and then, it's certainly not every 1 or 2 years, every now and then you'll produce a Wayne Rooney or a Ross Barkley or a Phil Foden of Manchester City or a player of that ilk. But there's a massive problem with grassroots football in this city. You know, the money that is not spent on grassroots football, getting young boys and girls into playing football at a young age. You know, when I was growing up, from the ages of 4, 5, 6, I was playing footy every week, multiple times a week, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. Now you can drive past football pitches on Sunday mornings and no one's playing. So it's all part of a wider issue, but I understand it. David says, truthfully, you'd expect a couple every 2 or 3 years. Salary says, can you make the Everton Twitter space on Friday evening? I'm not too sure, mate, to be honest. I've got no, actually, I can't. I'll keep thinking today's Friday. I can't make tomorrow. I've got something going on. I'll try and sort of listen here and there, but I won't be able to make it to speak. Philip says, we need to somehow get rid of Gbamin. He's costing us a fortune for nothing. Very, very, very sticky situation, in my opinion. That's all I'll say. Liv says, Rafa said the senior strikers will play. He said it's These games are better for experienced players, he said. Dave says, pipe down. Where are we? Wormy says, hey guys, what's happening, Wormy? And Eugene says, stunning footage of Everton's new stadium project released. It was, yes, it was. Although I haven't watched it yet because I just want us to win a game of footy, to be honest with you. I probably will watch it tonight, but I've just got no inspiration to watch anything Bramley-Moore until we're actually half decent. But anyway, look, we'll finish it up there then. Massive thank you to everybody for watching. If you have watched this one and enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we will be back tomorrow with the game preview to Everton's Premier League fixture against Brentford on Sunday, and we will also be back with another video talking about the pathway for young players into the first team and my problems with that one. So if you haven't subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. It does only take a second, and if you've enjoyed this one, leave a like. Massive thanks to everybody for watching live and getting involved in the live comments. If you watched the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as we can as well. Andrew says, hi Cam, did you see the interview with Billy Kenny talking about his drink and drug issues? Was really good. I haven't, but I know of it, and I am going to watch it. I've just haven't had the time to, but I will watch it. Card says, happy Thanksgiving to all the American Toffees. Absolutely. And live football video says, predicted starting 11. We will be doing the predicted starting 11 in the preview tomorrow, so look out for that one. That'll be probably midday because I'm off work tomorrow, so that'll probably be midday. And Eugene says, see you bye, up the Toffees. Massive thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you soon on the Mighty Blues. Cheers for watching. See you after. Oh, that's not the outro. There you go. Little sneak peek of the Park End podcast. That's not the outro. These things happen when you're live and you're doing your editing live. Nice one for watching. See you after.